Hey, welcome back to... Pops is laughing in the background because it's not funny. We just recorded part 2 and we were well more than I would say a good 3/4 of the way through it. We were almost to the end and my fucking computer just restarts out of nowhere, dude. It was like a good 25, almost 30 minutes, and we were at the conclusion. So I've lost all my enthusiasm, my will, my drive. It's gone, guys. I'm supposed to start. How were we supposed? Didn't I have a good sign on? And I did everything so good last time. So we're gonna redo it. Welcome to Exploring the Rabbit Hole with me, your host, Nobody, on the episode The Hidden Shoot. I forgot the name of this video. And I'm not restarting this. I'm done. I'm done for the night. As little work as possible right now. I'm exhausted. It's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. It's just... We named this episode The Hidden... we're about to go find out, that's for sure. Where's my... I mean, I know the name of my series. It's easy. It's Exploring the Rabbit Hole. Yay! There it is. The Hidden and Suppressed World of Energy. So we are continuing the Hidden and Suppressed World of Energy. Where we left off was... Crap, dude. We last left off with Krilian photography. I just introduced you to it. Gave you a couple little secrets about some of the Tesla tech behind it. What it is, it's your energy patterns. It's your emotions. Your emotions are your energy patterns, and that's what's being reflected outside you. Lots of things prove this, like when you walk into a room and you feel people have been fighting, like you can walk in and you feel people have been fighting. That's because you feel that right there, that disconnection. You can walk in and feel disconnection from other people. The connection, bonding, that's why we're so bound to sex, is that's unfortunately the only way that's taught to us on how to connect. But there's so many other ways to share energy and connect and do other things. That's what I'm hoping to teach people to do one day. But it all starts with yourself. You don't have to have other people because you generate so much more energy by yourself. Again, I'm not saying be alone or weird stuff. You'll understand as time goes. Like I said, we'll make a video one day about love, what love is, and how it's equated to what we call process or time, or experience, however you want to see it. The phantom effect, I'm sure y'all got that. We'll study up on that. And I didn't touch the last couple of minutes of the video because that's actually going to come all together here later. But Krilian photography, that's what we're studying and what it is and what it does. So here you go. Next video. I just watched all of these.
The language of the Pemon Indian tribe in Venezuela, Roraima, is translated as the mother of all waters. A group of Russian biophysicists set out for this destination in January 2005 to collect a unique sample of water, which scientists say has never been in direct contact with human beings. Such water exists in only one place on Earth, in Venezuela. According to one hypothesis, a continent called Gondwana existed in the southern hemisphere during the Paleozoic era. Powerful tech.
I personally choose not to believe or listen to any of this propaganda. All of science is crap. They can't prove any of it. Fuck all of it. But you do what you want. Do your own research. You can listen to this or just choose to ignore it.
Processes occurring in the Earth's crust 3.5 million years ago split it into several parts.
Must have been the dinosaurs who did it.
As a result of these changes, some segments of the continent sank, while those resting on granite substrates remained at their previous level. Elevated plateaus were formed, which the Indians called tepuis, meaning pillars. Roraima is the largest of them.
It's a really remote place, very hard to get to. 3 days of travel through the savannah and then the jungles. Then you climb an 800-meter wall. It takes a certain amount of enthusiasm. Therefore, we can say that the water we have there is in a unique, virgin state.
Воду в ее девственном, уникальном состоянии.
There is always a large cloud over Roraima. As evening approaches, a light haze appears. When the moon comes out from behind the mountains, the mist begins to glow with an even blue light. And in that light, it is visible how fine droplets of moisture are hanging in the still air. The slightest breath of a breeze, and this watery dust forms into drops. This is the origin of the rain, which rushes down in countless waterfalls.
Yo, what just happened?
Origin of the rain, which
Итак, сегодня
So today is January 30th, 2005. Water collection number 16. Then we shall pack it all up in foil. And in this form, this water will hold its energy for several days.
All hypothetical. First time this test was ever done, right? And two, you're taking water that is being free-flowing in constant movement. That's the opposite of stagnant. You're putting it in a jar and stagnating it, sealing it up from the flow of oxygen and movement and all kinds of elements. So with that being said, the test is already going to be inaccurate. If you just think about it. Yeah, I don't need to prove it. I don't need to go out and pull studies and test. You need to bring the testing equipment to the site to get actual test, and I'm going to explain why in a second.
With the air of these places. Then we'll arrive in St. Petersburg, and we'll calmly carry out our laboratory analysis several thousand miles away from St. Petersburg, several days, with the air of these places.
That's what I wanted y'all to hear. I had cut off before that.
Then we shall pack it all up in foil. And in this form, this water will hold its energy for several days, with the air of these places. Then we'll arrive in St. Petersburg, and we'll calmly carry out our laboratory analysis several thousand miles away, and only then will we be able to draw any conclusions.
сможем сделать какие-то выводы.
Professor Korotkov's laboratory has developed an instrument that can determine the energetics of water. It works on the basis of the Krilian effect. Everything that enters a strong electromagnetic field begins to emit light. The greater energy the object possesses, the brighter it shines. The water from Venezuela was compared with ordinary drinking water.
Мы можем сказать так, что
We can say that this water is not double, not triple, but it is 40,000 times more active.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. 40,000 times more active. And again, that's water that's been removed from its natural location and from the natural elements, and it's been stagnant for at least a week inside a sealed container and jar wrapped in foil. I'm willing to say, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's probably a minimum of 1,000,000 times. One drop carrying 1,000,000 times more energy, which we've already seen your body is using and made up of and comprised of, in one drop. Again, let's go with their number and just say 40,000 times. You would have to drink 40,000 bottles of water to equal what one bottle of water from this place would do energetically. Cool stuff. What I did in the other video, and I didn't tell you about this, this is what I call the Holy Grail. What I call the Holy Grail is the hidden truth about water. Water. I'm the only person who's even getting close to say this. Holy Grail equals water, period. Alright, I'll explain it later. But I don't think it's an actual physical object. That's why they show you one thing when the truth is the complete opposite direction. Shake your hand over here when really, you just don't want them to see what's going on over there. So 40,000 times more energy in one drop of water in these natural states, in these natural places. This isn't the only place in the world, like this video said in the beginning. Again, when you listen to the specifics and the details, I don't believe in absolutes. And no, there's a lot of places water flows into this place. But that is the only one over here on this side of the world.
So these are really two fundamentally different substances. And water of this type, this water, which immediately activates the body, it activates the whole system.
It activates the body, the whole system. What system? What do you mean, the body? So my water's not activating my body here? You start looking into it. Energy. It's weird.
That's why there, where the Indians, despite the deprivation in which they live very long lives and are very happy.
You call them deprivated because you're holding them to a societal standard. They actually don't feel deprivated at all. I know people all over the world.
They absolutely do not want civilization to come to them.
So they're deprivated, but yet they don't want civilization coming into them? No, they're not deprivated, period. That's your opinion, not a fact. Most people know that most natural cultures live in abundance. They live with this natural abundance, and it's no big deal to them. So with that being said, that's Krilian photography of water. Just putting water under these Krilian camera and lenses is going to show you some pretty trippy, crazy stuff. 40,000 times more energy in it. So now we're going to hop on over to sweet, dear Dr. Claudia. She's very sweet. Loved her to death. Very sweet lady.
Hi, this is Dr. Claudia K, and I'm here to give you the 7th tip in 7 days. And we are so excited to help you understand the importance of your health. So Big John just talked about detoxification and the importance of detoxing. As you know, we consume over 500 chemicals a day. That's why it's so critical for you.
I smoke cigarettes, Dr. Claude. You're wrong. I just take in like 3,000 off my cigarettes.
That's why it's so critical for you to listen to what Big John has said.
Big John!
In regard to detoxification, the important part of this 3-step program, you detoxify, then you get nutrient primed, like all of these supplements. I use 2 main companies, and I love Standard Process and I love Health and Harmony. Homeopathics and the supplements that are whole food supplements, and there's a huge difference. But the most...
You don't need any of them. They're crap. Trust me, you don't need it. It's all crap. It's all void. It's all dead.
The most important thing when you get nutrient primed is the food that you eat as well. So the food matters a lot. And a lot of us have, if you go in your kitchen.
Again, it's the information she's going to present later.
And then you look in the cupboards or in your fridge.
You don't need vitamins.
We have a lot of junk food. And it's time to clean out the junk food. Now, you can wait till after the holidays. That's okay, but if you really want to jumpstart the new year and get a start on that, you need to get nutrient primed. And I'm going to show you some pictures.
This is the information that's really cool.
So, for example, this is Krilian photography. This is a method of photography that the Russians developed years and years ago.
Russian, named Nicholas Tesla, not Russians. And it was built in 1891, or at least that's when it was released by Nicholas Tesla. He had claimed in his own biography or by his own testament that he had actually created that several years before that, not indicating a number, but he implied that it was along the lines of one of his very first inventions forever ago. So probably when he was like a teenager and he didn't show the world until he was in his 20s, I guess. I don't really know. Just saying. Nicholas Tesla, not Russians.
And it has the ability to capture the life of the products and the foods that you eat. For example, this
energy and light.
This is an orange cut in half.
That is not what life is. Life is an experience. Energy and light are different things.
And you can see it.
Now they're all factored in together, like where you have life, you always have energy, experience, all that stuff. But with that being said, these are all different things. So that's the only reason why I'm kind of nitpicking on that, and I'm trying to make it clear. So it's very when you're starting to learn something new, it's really good to have that's when you want to be PC, is when you're learning something new. That's the only time you want to be politically correct, is to make sure the base of what you're learning is correct and factual.
Orange cut in half, and you can see the brilliant energy that's being let off from these oranges. Why? Because it is a live, living food. So it's important that you include live, raw, healthy food with all the enzymes associated in your diet. Now, this is a picture on here with the raw cabbage that you can see. Okay, this is raw. See all the brilliant light? This is cooked cabbage. See how dull, and you can hardly see it at all? That's why things like raw sauerkraut is great for your colon. It's so important for the production of healthy bacteria that so many of us are at a loss at because of all the harmful bacteria and or antibiotics that we've consumed.
She's 100% correct about that. If you pulled a fecal test, a poop test from every person in this world who's sick, and then everyone who's healthy, everybody who's sick is missing certain bacteria in their colon, stomach, or anywhere in their digestive tract. So that's very important. With that being said, to explain why there's a color difference and energy pattern difference, it's several things, but I'm only going to give you 3 of the reasons why. They're right here in these books. If you can tell by looking at this book, for example, Life Food Recipes, that is Krilian photography. This is the diet and the informations and everything I used to start curing my dad with a lot of his terminal illnesses. David Jubb uses Krilian photography. The name of the book's called Life Food Recipe. So, again, when you understand what Krilian photography is, if my body is that energy, maybe I should be consuming things that bear this type of energy. To get in depth, long story short, when you cook food over 118, or to get in detailed, when you cook food over 118 degrees, it destabilizes the enzymes and the amino acids, which are the building blocks and everything your body actually uses, not nutrients and protein. It's enzymes and amino acids. Amino acids being the building blocks of cells and everything you need, and enzymes being, well, everything your chemistry set is going to convert into what it needs. Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. I know this guy, it's nuts, but when you do your research, you'll learn that, fuck, dude, this is actually all you need to eat, period, in the way you need to eat. Not saying you can't go out and do other things, but you'll see why in just a second. Again, the main person I would use for food, like the starting process of it, because it gets far deeper than David Jubb. I don't apply David Jubb's alkaline body at all, believe it or not. Some of the cell rejuvenation information, but a lot of his recipe book, he's point on by a lot of things except for salts. He does recommend 1 or 2 salts, Celtic sea salt. I've learned recently, keep salts out of your body, every type of salt, period. It's a rock. You don't eat rocks. So, but that's all for a later time when we start doing health. I'm just saying it's really important to understand that other doctors and other people also use Krilian photography. One of the methods you can use to identify diseases with Krilian photography is, for example, I have a tumor right here in my chest. And if you were to take a picture of me with Krilian photography, right here where I have this tumor, I have a big black void spot in my energy pattern. I could take certain foods or plants or herbs, and it would literally be filling that energy void with energy, and that's showing that it's slowly pushing out, breaking up, or whatever. It's pretty crazy how there's an actual energy process to everything that we're told is either just cells or physical. So that's what's really cool about all this stuff. Back to where we were. I'm sorry. That was the water. We're done with water. Water is very important. Again, it's the Holy Grail. Sorry to say it again. You're going to see why water is so important.
This is a picture of olive oil. See the bright, beautiful color of olive oil? See this one? This is lard. There's a huge difference between olive oil and the health that it gives your body versus lard. Again, this is muesli. For those of you that know what muesli is, it's a raw grain breakfast cereal that you can make. It's very popular in Europe. And guess what this is? It's cornflakes. You can't even see. You can't even see the...
It's not just cornflakes. She should have went on a rant. It's everything in a package, in a box, or anything processed. That's what you're eating. Blank, void, dead. So So if you're wondering why the majority of people are actually dying of what we call self-necrosis, why bodies are eating themselves from the inside out, and people can't figure out why we're somehow dying while we're eating all the time, because you're eating void food, so your body's having to self-consume itself just to maintain what you call experience life, whatever. So yeah, good job.
The cornflakes, it's such a dead
I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is one part of the piece that you call health in eating and diets and all of it. Again, we're going to connect it all before it's all done and over with. But funny how just a camera lens has taught us all these new ways of looking and seeing things.
organic material. Plus, you're looking at cornflakes made by Kellogg's that's all genetically modified. So again, if you want to jumpstart your health for the new year and get a lease on life, please use the raw organic foods that have live enzymes and live foods. Now, this is really interesting. This is a photograph of handprint of a man that eats nothing but
junk food.
You can't even see his outline of his hands, can you?
Junk food on bottom, health food on top.
This is a man that eats nothing but junk food, like at the fast food restaurants. This is a man that eats healthy raw foods. Look at the difference between the two.
This is what people talk about when they talk about essence or chemistry. Believe it or not, someone has just got a stronger pheromone / energy pattern about them. That's it. It's actually reflect you are what you eat. You eat a bunch of animal, you're putting out nasty animal smells and stuff like that. People aren't really attracted to that. And I'm not kidding. It's crazy. It gets pretty nuts once you get really in depth with this stuff.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So, my quest for you and your homework is include more raw, healthy foods.
Yes and no. Again, figure out what works best for you, what your body's been missing most of its life, and what it needs for whatever. So, again, back to David Jubb. We saw the water a second ago. It's very important. Water. Why water? Well, we're going to go ahead and go back to Krilian photography where we started. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We already know.
Displayed by a photographer artist.
We already know all that. I just love the video. I love this part. The fight, the disconnect. Like, that's how I always saw it. Like, how do I explain to people that a wall pops up? Like, you're going to sound fucking crazy. Like, but that's just disconnection, you know. Look at it. Back to where we were. So, something I talked about in the other video, hands-on healing. I didn't talk about this stuff the first time we watched it, so we'll continue from here. And as for hands-on healing, just sending someone to a college school isn't going to literally teach them. They don't even know the truth about hands-on healing. The only people who do are like the monks and Buddhists and the Tibetan gurus and all these people who can literally do exactly what I'm about to type in. So again, this thing called science and everything everybody wants to say is unbreakable, the belief or the proof of all fact called science that is even broken just by monks and what people can do. How is that the base of all fact if it's not the base of all fact? I mean, it can be broken, so it's not fact then, it's built on crap. Again, we'll get into science another day, another time, further down the list. I love shitting all over it, but for now, let's just go ahead and stick to where we were. Hands-on healing is only for advanced people. When you take on, there's always cause and effect in this place. There's always balance. So, long story short, you end up at a healing. You absorb these energies from other people, and if you don't know how to channel them outside you, it's going to manifest inside you. Also, with that being said, if you don't teach someone to make the conscious change into what caused this illness, they're not making the conscious change. They're just going to, go out and start doing that same act again and get that illness right back. No matter what it is, eating McDonald's or fucking diabetes, too much sugar. Again, giving someone Humalog opposed to just teaching them to quit eating sugar and reverse their diabetes, which is possible. My dad's done it. We did it through all these diets I'm talking about. One day I'll make a video here soon on all that. And yeah, just don't do hands-on healing. I guess if you're raised from a culture and they taught you all about it, you know what you're doing. But if you're new to this stuff and you just caught word of it and you're learning a couple people's ideas of it, I would just be wary when practicing hands-on healing. Again, it's just not the proper way to heal someone. You heal like your kid if they're injured, when they're too young and don't know any better. Or you heal yourself in dire situations, or your lover during a freaking tragic accident. I don't know. But you just don't walk around healing people. There's a reason why such few people are given that gift anyways.
Medicine is now becoming recognized. The graduate nurses at New York University attend classes in laying on of the hands healing.
So somehow nurses in New York University in the 70s and 80s knew how to hands-on heal. So again, when Krilian photography isn't even taught, let alone shown, let alone allowed to be taught.
Its future in medicine awaits proper documentation by a device which should be able to record objectively this energy believed to be transmitted. The fingertip photograph of a healer at the left and her patient on the right is prior to healing. The shift is dramatic as she turns on her healing energies. This black and white photo shows at the bottom her normal state and projecting healing energy on top. Does this technique reveal energies not measurable by other means?
Yes. Kinetic.
An interstate change will result in a change in the physiological state of the organism and result in various changes of the corona that can be due to changes in skin impedance, chemistry, skin dielectric constant, charge of the skin, and the concentration of free ions on the surface of the skin.
So did y'all catch all that? We'll go back one more time. Just make sure y'all caught all that.
By other means? An interstate change will result in a change in the physiological state of the organism.
So an inside change will automatically be an outside change in the entire organism.
And result in various changes of the corona.
Which will result in various changes of the corona. Corona is their term for the energy pattern that you can see.
They can be due to changes in skin impedance, chemistry, skin dielectric constant, charge of the skin, and the concentration of free ions on the surface of the skin.
So all of those things can exactly do that.
Some individual researchers feel that the origin of the corona discharge on the fingertip is the pore of the sweat gland. The sweat...
That's where it gets intriguing. So some people think it's the pore of the sweat gland.
Response can be created by various stimuli found in the physiological makeup of the anatomy.
So the reason why I brought up the monks earlier, and I mentioned the names I'd mentioned, even the Vedas, they all know that it comes from your fingertips. Energy is lifted and sent from your fingers. Certain fingers do certain things, believe it or not. That is the one that sends. This is the finger that sends, by the way. And that's why when you flip someone off, you're usually doing it negatively. And that's why people get offended, is you're sending them negative energy in a negative way. Believe it or not. Pointing is something else. Again, these are things that people can but can't quite prove. They're oral traditions, and what they know and what they can prove proves it. But then again, when you're put up to this falseness called science that really can't back itself up, shit. So it's all shit. So, but point being, I personally, I think it's water. It's your water. That's what you're transpirating, what we call transpiration, what plants do, what we do. Everything's your water. The water is just, water is everything. The reason why I'm talking so much about water, we're going to have episodes on water. I'll tell you right now, water is the only element that's here. There are no other elements. It's all an illusion. It all starts with water. It all ends with water. You are water. Everything here is water. Fuck, dude. Look how they make concrete. What holds together a rock? Water. What is a plant? Fiber held together by water. Cellulose of water. Water and cells stacking over time, just holding together fiber throughout it. It's water. Everything here is water. The base is water. You're 90% water. Your eyes are 99% water. Bro, it's all water. We'll get there. There's a reason why I call water the Holy Grail. Again, I just wanted to be clear on that. It's all going to come together. I believe it's the water coming in. Let's just listen to it one more time.
Skin and the concentration of free ions on the surface of the skin. Some individual researchers feel that the origin of the corona discharge on the fingertip is the pore of the sweat gland.
So they think what's releasing the energy is the pore of the sweat gland on the fingertip. I think it's all your sweat glands all over you. That's my point.
The sweat response can be created by various stimuli found in the physiological makeup of the anatomy, such as mental, emotional, and/or sensory areas.
That would all still revert to your emotional state, your sensories, and all the other two affect your senses, your emotions. All of this equates to your emotions. That's why, again, your aura, your energy pattern, everything you're experiencing is your emotions, which underneath that is actually just your thoughts. But we'll get into that really deep another day.
This diagram of a cross-section of the sweat gland reveals that if we could look at the spectral analysis of the corona discharge, we should be able to get peaks for various chemical elements.
So I really don't need to go much further than that, y'all. There's really not too much more here.
And confirmed at Polyclinic Hospital, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This study shows a normal person's fingertip before and after washing of the hands. The corona is almost
This doesn't mean don't wash your hands, by the way. But with that being said, that's me washing my hands. No one did this study, right? But let's say that was someone washing their hands, because we really don't know right now. We do, but we can't sit here and say, I know, because we weren't there. But I'm 99% sure this study was taken in a lab, in a room, in a building, which means what? Unnatural water. Also means soap or a chemical being put on their hands, to where if you're a native over there in, not Argentina, where the water is, that is 40,000 times, I say 1,000,000 times what we think it is, energetically compared to the water here, you would actually not be using soap. You would probably just use sand. That's how I wash my hands when I don't have soap and stuff around. You pick up a handful of sand on the beach and use that to exfoliate top layer of your skin and wash shit off, and you're done. But anyways, you would just use something to scrub your hand off in that ridiculously highly charged energetic water. Therefore, you're just what you would instantly absorb off it would be 1,000,000,000 times that, probably 40,000 times this. That's actually why I don't really pay too much attention to the hand washing aspects of it. I've had plenty of time to think about it and be like, yeah, you know what? That's a corrupt study because it's all based on shit water anyway. But I do get it. Yeah, cool. Washing my hands does diminish my energy pattern for some reason. Why is that? I'm not saying don't do it. Again, we all know it's healthier to wash your hands for the germs, for the actual physical part.
A marked difference is
so. And what is next? Science and grounding. This video is probably long enough.
Contact with the Earth, and Mother Earth is endowed with electrons.
Yeah, so this is called the science of grounding.
I grew up around Native American people, primarily the Cheyenne and the Crow. I remember coming home one day and we were going to go into one of the kids' teepees with his parents, and the mother said, "Take your shoes off, they'll make you sick."
So natives, this is a lot of natives actually know not to wear shoes. There's a reason why a lot of people don't wear shoes, period, all the time, and somehow it turned into a take off your shoes and coming in a house. When originally, the original, like bunks, Buddhist, and natural cultures, it was take off your shoes leaving the house. Put on your shoes in the house. No joke. It's to not track dirt and crap onto your nice stuff. Yet you carry less stuff on it. It's weird how things have just been flipped backwards. If you are energy, or if there's any energy to you, well, shouldn't you be grounded every now and then? It's very important to know. We're not going to spend too long on this. I think this video's already been long enough. And again, I lost my excitement and thrill on the lead. And so I was so chipper. I was making jokes. I was being happy. You can ask Pops. And then it restarted. So I kind of lost my gurness for it. So,
It's just strange why she would say that we were going to sick about. We wouldn't have had a clue at that time.
In simple terms, grounding is literally putting your bare feet on the ground. When you do that, you're in contact with the Earth, and Mother Earth is endowed with electrons. And these electrons are literally absorbed through your feet. It's like taking handfuls of antioxidants, but you're getting it through the feet.
y'all heard that, right? Handfuls of what?
Grounding means connecting to the earth to support the specific function of the organs of your body. It supports the body as a whole, but it specifically supports organ systems down to the tissues and the cellular function of the entire body.
In 1960, we invented synthetic materials. The first thing we did was we put synthetic soles.
With that materials and rubber, where he's going with it, he's pretty accurate, but he's man, he missed the biggest point, and of course, that's not what he was, probably his mind was around, but cloth and bromamine and dyes. Way important to know about. We'll get into that one day.
The first thing we did was we put synthetic soles on the shoes. We started wearing sneakers.
So it's the most common sense thing that we are organisms that live and grow and depend entirely on the earth while we're alive. And yet we have completely isolated ourselves from it. We're so disconnected that it becomes this weird thing if we actually slip our shoes off.
95%.
I walk around everywhere without my shoes, and everybody looks at me like I'm homeless, crazy, or fucking retarded. I already know. Don't they, Pops?
Yep.
Like I'm fucking nuts. Even if I'm like on the beach, I'm like literally on the other side of the wall that the sandbar beach. People will look at you like you're fucking nuts, and they just don't get it. I'm like, wow, bro. Like I taught myself to start grounding forever ago. Like it's just what I learned about the sleep studies in grounding made me. I always had sleep issues.
The people walk insulated on the earth.
This was the single thing that happened that probably caused the proliferation of inflammation-related health disorders far and above anything else.
This is so incredible. This is Nobel Prize material.
I got involved in the cable industry in the early 60s. I first learned the need to ground cable signals as we were developing the industry. When you run a wire into the house, before you can go into the house, you have to ground the cable. I mean, you have miles of wire hanging up there in the air. If there's lightning in the air, it's going to hit the cable. And so what you want to do is create a path to ground for the lightning so that it doesn't enter the house or blow up the TV or create a fire. One day I was sitting at a computer and the computer kept crashing. I knew it was static electricity, so I put a piece of tape across my desk and grounded it. And I realized in that process that the outlet wasn't grounded, so I fixed it so that I could get rid of the static electricity. And I didn't think too much about it. I walked outdoors and I sat on a bench. There's two of us pulled up, and it looked like they had just been to one of these outlet malls, and white Nike shoes were on sale. It just dawned on me, and I asked the question, I said, I wonder if it's possible that humans are, we're no longer naturally grounded. I wonder if these shoes could be interfering with us.
Just by asking a question, I love you.
So that night, I went to the hardware store and I bought a roll of metal duct tape. And I just taped it across the bed.
Bet you his wife thought he was fucking nuts.
And I had the ground rod outside. I connected to the ground rod on one side, connected to the metal duct tape that I had laid on the bed. So when I laid down on the duct tape, I was like grounded because it was connected to the earth.
Look, he's even using an ohm meter and shit to prove it, to test it, to show.
Woke up the next morning
so cool.
And I thought, holy cow, there's something going on here, because normally for me to go to sleep, I had to take Advil. So I tried to find out what I could.
That's how old this is. Dial up.
The internet was hardly anything. This is back in '99. Went down to the University of Arizona into one of their medical libraries, and there was nothing. And in fact, I even tried to find the cause of chronic pain. The cause of MS was unknown. The cause of arthritis, unknown. They didn't know. Nobody knew.
Know that saying, it's not grounding? A lot of the arthritis and joint and stuff like that, that's actually lack of oil in your body, because we've replaced it all with butters and fats. You're missing the insulation in your body, which is also a conductor of electricity. But we'll get into health another day.
So I thought, well, I'll go out to LA. I'll go to UCLA and ask them. They pretty much laughed me off campus. They said, you expect us to believe that somebody's going to put a nail in the ground, tie a wire around somebody's toe, and it's going to make them sleep better? I said, get out of here. Go away. You're nuts. So I ended up having to put together my own study, and we grounded 60 people, and the reports that came in were unbelievable. TMJ disappeared, PMS disappeared, inflammation reduced, pain. Everybody slept better.
PMS for all you... Just kidding. Just kidding. Bad joke. I meant for all you exes out there. Not women. Exes.
Found an anesthesiologist in San Diego, and he says, I don't think there's anything to what you're doing. This has got to be an anomaly here, but I'll entertain you. He says, I will prove that you're wrong. And we did study. It's the first study that I did that was a legitimate study where we had quantifiable data. Then we decided, well, we're going to do a big study now. And we ended up attracting scientists, physicists. When they saw the study, everybody said, well, this is really pretty interesting.
I didn't know anything about grounding. I had never heard of it at all, but I became a new mom, and I had my first child, and she had colic, and she cried and cried and cried. First thing I did, being a physician myself, was take her to the pediatrician, and remember distinctly leaving that pediatrician's office with a knot in my stomach, because the first thing they told me is, it's a baby, let him cry. Literally the only time I noticed that she wasn't in pain, and the only time I could soothe her, was when I was outside and I was barefoot and I had her in my arms, and every time we were outside she relaxed. I noticed if I did use a stroller or if she was in a car, she was still in pain and uncomfortable. This is not placebo effect. Like, she had no idea if I was wearing shoes or not. She doesn't know that. I'm holding her either way. And I just slowly started realizing this child can only take a nap and feel comfort as if she was on my skin, held skin to skin, and I was barefoot. She'd be dead asleep, and if I stepped in the house and took both my feet off the ground, she would wake back up and the pain response would come back. And I didn't know what it was called, and I didn't at that time feel comfortable thinking about using it in my conventional medical practice, but I just knew that this is what I'm going to do to help my child.
Colic cured by grounding? I'd look into that. I wish I had colic babies. Anybody got a colic baby? Start testing this out. That's an actual doctor who figured that out for her child. That's what worked for her. They were having grounding issues.
I was working with a mentor of mine, and she recommended that I ground my energy. I didn't know what she meant by ground yourself. So the first thing I did was go home and look it up on the internet. And through doing a search about grounding, I found Clint Over's work and the book about earthing. And I realized that it's a real thing and a real healing modality with tons of medical literature behind it.
I first learned about grounding maybe 12, 13 years ago through one of the trainers for the Tour de France team from the U.S., and he was using it with many of their athletes and with surprising results. And I think that's surprising best summarizes my response to it, because it didn't seem to make sense. I think I became a believer once I started to explore the science.
If you take a microscope and you look at a piece of wood and you go down, 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 all of a sudden there's nothing there. There's molecules, but they're not even connected. What's holding them together? What's the force that's holding everything together? Our body is electrical.
It's Krilian energy you can't see. But they've called it particle science is what it's got into. That it's just like triangles and circles and squares. Stupid shit. Science.
This is all electronic equipment. The heart, the lungs, the brain. I mean,
all
this
of it.
Is electrical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It's all electrical. Everything is electrical.
Unbeknownst to us,
and water.
We live inside a battery.
Mainly water.
The surface of the Earth is charged negatively, and the ionosphere, which is a layer of the atmosphere about 60 miles up, which is ionized by the sun, meaning that the rays of the sun are so strong that they split the molecules into a positive charge and
we'll get into all
charge. The negative charge are transferred to the surface of the Earth through lightning mainly, and the positive charge stay 60 miles up. The problem arises when we don't have negative charge. So we need grounding just as we need air and we need sunshine.
Stephen Sinatra, who was a cardiologist from back east, was attending a convention.
That's Frank's little brother, Steven. I'm just kidding. I had a lot of good jokes earlier and shit. It was funny, guys, but again, that killed me.
He sat down with Stephen and told him the story of what I was doing. Now he said, well, if you're affecting pain, he says you need to be researching inflammation. You don't have arthritis, you don't have cancer, you don't have all these health disorders. What you have is chronic inflammation.
A lot of people dying of heart attack, stroke, they, autopsy report comes out and they're like, wow, there's a lot of water retention, a lot of water around the heart, a lot of water around this organ.
We have so much inflammation in the body, and it comes out in illnesses. We go to a doctor with all these complaints, but a lot of it is silent inflammation, including my specialty, heart disease. Heart disease is an inflammatory process.
I forgot about that.
So how do we reduce inflammation?
Inflammation is produced by neutrophils, which is a white blood cell. You have an injury, you have a damaged cell. And so these white blood cells come over and they encapsulate the damaged cell and they release reactive oxygen species, which rip electrons from the damaged cell and that destroys the damaged cell. If there's not enough free electrons there to reduce the remaining radicals, they're going to steal an electron from a healthy cell and in the process damage it. Then the message goes out to the immune system, and another neutrophil does the same thing, eliminates that cell, and then you end up with a chain reaction.
ATP is short for adenosine triphosphate. It's the energy currency of the cell. We're bioelectrical beings. That's the currency of our body. That's how it works. That's how we run our biological systems, is by generating this electrical energy that's transferred. And when we connect to the Earth through a conductive surface in some way, there's a transfer of electrons that slowly go into the body. In situations where we are insulating ourselves from this surplus of electrons into our body, we're going to get the absolute opposite. So instead of...
Do you see that? 2 hours before grounding, 2 hours after grounding. Now, if you had a diet primarily of oil, this would be decreased even more. And by oil, I mean raw to cold pressed oils. Olive, mainly coconut butter if you can get all the coconut oil in the world. It's just a better conductor of energy.
Low levels
Way
of
better.
inflammation, and a thin blood will have thick blood.
I'm not even taking the don't take life, animal rights, or vegan stance. I'm just straight up saying, just from the energetic point of view,
or life,
I would cut out meat or the fats and switch to oils.
they clot, and our levels of inflammation tend to increase.
You could take anybody who has chronic pain, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what's wrong, and ground them, and you're going to have a significant reduction in pain. You're going to stop the oxidation or the inflamed portion. That stops almost immediately. Then the body can heal and return to normal.
Did y'all hear that? Any pain, ground yourself. Then learn how to meditate. And then you can learn that breathing can get rid of pain fully. You can shut off senses. That's easy to do. Quit laughing, Bloss. You don't know. I'm just playing. I'm just playing with my dad, guys. And we kind of always talk shit to each other. What?
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say? Say it.
I don't have pain.
Oh. You're a pain in my ass. You are a pain. I'm just...
I take care of my pain with breathing.
That's how you do it.
Healing generally is improved by 60-70%. If inflammation is the cause of all these health disorders, then I know that not grounding is the cause of inflammation, because if the body is grounded, you can't have inflammation.
Can we measure the effects reproducibly? The answer to that is yes. We now have 20 studies.
There's 21 published studies in the medical literature on earthing and grounding. And this is peer-reviewed stuff. In simple terms, what earthing does is literally, it quenches the fires of inflammation. And if inflammation is the source of all root illnesses, including Alzheimer's disease, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, I mean, the list goes on and on. If you can impact inflammation and, squelch it, kill it, stop it, we're going to be healthier beings. So, why hasn't it caught on in mainstream? I can only say it will.
Because there's nobody in it. It's free to go outside and put your damn feet on the ground.
There's a
Sorry,
well-established,
was that rhetorical?
traditional, conventional system that relies on expensive intervention. So they'd like to perpetuate that, and they're not too interested in having some competition coming in for a lot less expensive to sort of sabotage their profit levels. Because their goal isn't to help humanity. Their goal is really, as corporations, is increase their profit. The question becomes, how much of an influence has lack of grounding been in the epidemic of disease that we have? Is this grounding a factor?
The light switch went on, and I thought, we're doing things completely backwards here. A typical day for a child is completely ungrounded. Most children wake up sleeping on a bed that was not grounded in a house or a building or on a floor that was insulated from the earth. And then they go immediately into a classroom that's insulated. And even on recess, in the recess period, they go outside and are literally fenced in and are paved with asphalt. And then they have after-school activities, which are either indoors or if they're outdoors, they are literally required to wear protective gear. Then even if they're exercising for 2 hours after school, 100% disconnected from the earth. And then they go home and they go inside and they eat dinner and they do homework all hours of the night and then they pass out in an ungrounded bed.
And y'all wonder why you all just want to get back to nature. Really, you just need to put your feet down.
So that's
maybe your body's just aching to touch that ground. And you don't have to take off your shoes. You can just put your hands on a tree. Literally. Why they want you to be made fun of, called a tree hugger. So you don't even touch a tree to ground yourself. No joke.
a 20.
That's why if y'all go and look at my videos, I'm always laying against a tree waiting for my dad every day, shoes off. Even if I'm laying in dog shit, I'll just move the shit out of the way, take off the jacket covered in shit, maybe, depending on how cold it is, and continue to lay there. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. All these people, rich-ass people who live in $2 and $3 million apartments and townhomes less than 2 blocks away, look at me like I am fucking crazy and homeless. But I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for me, not for you. All because I'm sitting there with shoes off. No joke. I'm in decent clothes. People think I'm psycho for this jacket. I had a guy call me a Fergie faggot a week ago. No joke, a drunk guy at 7-Eleven. Couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you serious? That's actually the first thing people... The jacket throws them off. Well, it's a Perka. It's from Alaska, and it keeps me warm as shit. It's always 10 to 15 degrees colder out on the water. It's an exaggeration. Probably 5 to 10. But with the wind, it's always 5 to 10 miles an hour winds. Especially if it's like 10 mile an hour winds on land. I got 25 to 30 on the boat. It's chilly. So, but anyways, back to grounding.
24-hour period of time, completely ungrounded, and that goes on day after day after day.
There's a resistance to integrating novel thoughts, and many times new ideas aren't implemented until the people who hold the counter opinion die.
Oh, also just putting your feet in the water. Like for me, how do I ground, right? I'm on a boat, I can just put my feet in the water, dangle my feet in the ocean. Grounds me. Same thing. Same thing. That's why you actually like putting your feet in the water. If you were to walk to a lake, the first thing you would do is like you instinctively want to just dangle your feet in the water. We all do. Our instincts are always right.
The good thing about grounding is that you don't need a doctor to tell you to do it. You do not need a physician to recommend it to you. You can try this anytime. It is your birthright because you live on the earth.
I ground every day. Hey, I want to be connected to the earth as much as I can.
I would say about 95% of the day I am grounded.
Okay, cool.
I believe
you get it. So everybody grounds. That's, you know. Why is all that important? Again, reflect to Krilian photography. One last time. I use Krilian photo. Again, it's just me. There you go. Welcome to the hidden world of energy that's right in front of you, that has been suppressed and not allowed to be taught in schools and to the public. You have to dig and dig deep, especially to recover the data and analysis for these, a lot of the analysis for these things, so you can make comparative analysis. So have fun. The best recommendation I can ever give any of you is this. if y'all can give me about 4 to 5 months, again, I got to get to land, I will build one of these for y'all. Make a spec sheet, list everything, show you how to build it. Again, I plan on separating all my videos into categories, files, charts, and we're going to have it all. I'll have all my cryptos separated from my random boat videos, from my random these will all be as we go through and I show people things and how I come to the conclusions on that I come to. So, very easy, not hard at all to do, not even expensive. Krilian camera. Oh. Anyways, inverter's annoying, dying, so hope y'all enjoyed. Any questions, comments, let it go, or you know what I mean, put it down. Talk to you later, have fun.